Welcome, everyone, to today's information session for the Master of Science in Healthcare Leadership here at Brown University. This program is offered jointly between the School of Professional Studies and the School of Public Health here at Brown. Today's session is a program preview, and we're hoping to give you a little taste of all things MHL, as we affectionately call it here. And so we have a great agenda for you today. This is always a really fun session. So let's see if I can get my slide to advance. There we go. So for today's preview, I'm joined today by Marie Ganem, one of our terrific faculty members, and she's going to give you a little preview lecture of what you might experience as a Brown student. And I'm Sandi Ferretti. I'm the sort of master of ceremonies today. I'm the program director for the program and do all things to keep the trains running here. And so that is a little bit about me. So today's agenda is I'm going to give you a little bit of the program snapshot, which we cover in greater detail in other information sessions. We're going to have a sample lecture from Marie, and then we have some current students who have joined the session who will be available for you to ask questions about what do you need to know about the MHL program now that you have had a little sample of great things that happen here, or anything else that you want to ask students about the program. All right, so the MHL degree is a Master of Science degree, a full 8.5 credits as Brown defines a master's degree. We aim to take the best of healthcare information, business knowledge and skills, and leadership development to really create strategic decision makers who can drive value and positive change in healthcare. So it's similar to an MHA degree, but really with the emphasis on the leadership component of the degree. And all of our coursework is looked at through a healthcare lens. So it is a 3-semester program. You attend continuously for 3 semesters. We have a summer intake and a fall intake. The summer intake is closed for applications for this summer, but we are still taking applications for the fall term start date. And one of the courses that is taught in the fall term is our healthcare policy course, and that's the course that Marie is going to be addressing today. The larger blocks in the fall and spring term that are in darker color are full credit courses, all with a healthcare lens. And the smaller blocks that are dark are half credit courses that support additional content knowledge specific to healthcare that leaders need to understand and know about. And then lastly, the clear boxes or white background boxes are half credit courses that are fully online instead of hybrid. I'll explain that again in a moment, but these are our technology-based courses, health technology data and analysis, and the second one is digital health innovation. Those are offered fully online alongside the other courses that students are participating in. It's a hybrid program, meaning you come to campus once each at the beginning of each term. So you get to meet the faculty in person and get to interact and engage in some of the course content before you go to the online space. And the last 2 kind of critical components of the program happen through all 3 semesters of the program. And that is the critical challenge project, which is our capstone requirement. And it enables you the opportunity to apply directly the coursework that you are engaged in to a critical challenge in your own workspace. And then lastly is that leadership and professional development component that emphasizes your own personal development process as you move through the program and acquire new skills and knowledge. All of this is taught by an amazing lineup of faculty. You can see some of them here. Our academic director is Scott Rivkees, who is based in the School of Public Health as an interim associate dean right now. And we have a wide range of faculty and experience, and you're going to get a sample here in just a minute. One thing I wanted to emphasize before hearing from our students directly is, what do students tell us that they value about this MHL program? And they can confirm or refute or tell us additional things that they value. You can see these learning outcomes that we have on our website, but I think what folks want to hear about is what students and alumni value about the program. And I really hear consistently three themes. First, that students really value learning from a wide variety of peers. There's a wide cross section of healthcare sectors that are represented in each cohort, as you will experience today. And the ability to engage with and talk with and learn from your peers is just as important as the faculty and classroom learning. So students really value that. The second thing that I hear is that they really appreciate our focus on applied learning from day one. Very hands-on, very practical, engaging curriculum that really encourages folks to think about their own leadership roles and how the content they can take that content back to work right away. And then finally, students really value our emphasis on leadership development. And that happens both in the courses themselves. So Marie might ask a question about, how does a policy leader or how does a governor address a large-scale policy issue, and think about it always through the lens of leadership, in addition to the leadership-specific curriculum that is engaged in terms of your own thinking about how you can engage and develop as a leader. So students, those are the three general themes that I hear about all the time from students. So feel free to ask students, the students who have joined us today, further questions about that. So to wrap up, this is an accelerated 1 year to a master's degree program. There are 3 residential sessions where you come and join us in Providence. You meet your classmates and faculty in person. You get to engage in a variety of Brown traditions, spend some time on campus. One of the photo here is of the Van Wickle Gates, which is a very important Brown tradition, and so we make sure that all of our students participate in that. But the important thing here is that that our master's students, regardless of whether they're hybrid, fully online, fully residential, everyone is part of the Brown community. You participate in these in our commencement traditions. You come to campus for that commencement, as the 3 students who are with us today are getting ready for that. And there is 1 year to the degree. So you can start in May and finish the following May, or start in August and finish the following August. So that's the quick snapshot of the program, and happy to answer any specific questions about the degree. All right, so we are going to hand it over to Marie. So I'd like to welcome Marie Ganem, and she's going to start with a bit of a question challenge for all of you. We're going to engage our audience here.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy, for that great overview. And thank you for everybody who's joined us. So you are going to love health policy, and hopefully the students who you talk to after I'm gone from the call will reinforce that. It's a very interesting field, and I co-teach the course with a gentleman who has different experiences than I do and different perspectives. So in the class you get to hear a combination of perspectives and sometimes diverse opinions percolate, and we love that. So I want you to please, if you can, scan this code and respond to the question that's on the screen right now. What specific problem in healthcare, not your direct patient care, for those of you who do that, but what keeps you up at night? Now, you don't need any experience or expertise to respond to this. There's no right or wrong answers. This, in fact, based on your experiences, based on your frustrations in your everyday life, what healthcare problem do you think about? And do you say, why? So feel free to start answering. I love these. Hopefully you can all see the clouds forming.
Mhm.
So far, we have shortages and yes, cost of care, access, policy, cost, and interoperability.
All of the guests can reply, so our current students can answer the question as well.
Oh, I'd like to see what they say.
It's anonymous. It's still
It's,
anonymous.
it is all anonymous. Anybody else? Oh, yes.
Oh,
Child access. Interesting. Great. Well, this gives us a lot to talk about then in a short period of time. So you can see clearly access and cost have risen to the top. Clearly, more than one of you raised it as a major issue, and clearly it is affecting individuals in the environment that we're dealing with. So why are the costs as high as they are? Why is access as limited as it might be? And then I see child access, equality, equity and equality are both on here and clearly major policy issues. That healthcare policy is reactive. Great observation there, that there are shortages. We clearly see shortages in every part of the medical workforce and healthcare workforce. Cost of care, and while that's not the same as cost, I think people look at cost as rising costs of the products, rising costs of insurance. Cost of care is actually something much different, that it's disconnected. Excellent point. We'll talk some more about that.
oh,
Criminalizing gender care was there, and
yeah.
policy in general, legislation were also there. So that's great. So in our course, we take these subjects, all of them that you mentioned, all of these issues, and we try to hammer through how did we get to this point of frustration or of challenge or of opportunity? And how did that happen? How do reforms occur that address or lead us down this path? Next slide, please. Do I do? Oh, thanks, Emma. So what makes our course tick? So it's a 1 week in person, it's co-taught, as I mentioned. You get multiple perspectives, and there are remote sections that address these major issues and complex concepts. So the in-person and online discussions, we try to have mock exercises in class and online. We have expert presentations and debates. We do use diverse sources and projects. So we try to balance, say, liberal presentations of a policy perspective with more conservative. We do a lot of work around current events. So legislation, I think, showed up on that chart, and certainly that is a key area that we need to discuss. We encourage individual curiosity and your interest. So you may have picked a particular subject. We might be talking about aging or mental health, and you might say, I have a particular interest in this area. Can I deviate a little bit on can I do this? And we encourage that because we know that you'll be more motivated as students addressing issues from your perspective. We look at what's hot, we look at why, and we like to communicate. So we like you to communicate. Next slide, please. Next slide, Emma, or thank
It's
you.
it's me.
Oh,
I got
thank
it.
you. Thank you. So this is the very mini lecture overview of health policy. It is complex. In one word, it is complex. And again, the current students can attest to this. It's driven by politics, and we are in a time right now where politics is more active, I think, in our daily conversation than in the past. And so this will be an exciting time to talk about what's going on, particularly as we approach an election year. What's going on in politics and how is that affecting healthcare? Federalism is another key ingredient that we look at, because federalism means that the states have a lot of power, right? The feds, of course, have the money. And so the give and take between the federal government and the state government and the policies that arise, both John and I, John, the co-teacher of this course, and I have lots of experience in, particularly in state level policy making, and can talk to a great degree about how the states can actually make reform that may not be palatable due to the politics at the federal level. We look at the economics and resources that drive policy. So limited resources affects limited outcomes. The economic climate will affect what is invested in at both the federal and state level. And right now we're looking at huge cuts to our Medicaid programs. And why is that? It's because states do not have the resources in order to compensate for the lack of federal funds that will be coming due to recent legislation at the federal level. So we'll be talking about how economics and resources impact the decisions about policy. And then our values. This is key. So their underlying values in the US differ from those in other countries. And we all realize that, and we see the impacts of that. So we've kind of are an individualized to society, and we feel like everybody kind of pulls themselves up by the bootstraps, and that plays into policymaking. Whereas in other countries who have a more collective approach and think that everybody pitches in to help everyone else, then they have a different healthcare system, and we'll get into that deeply in our course. Sandy, next slide, please. And I want to encourage questions too. If there's anybody on the call that wants to raise their hand or jump up and down, to let us know if you have questions along the way, and certainly we can have some at the end. So just a few more considerations. These are huge topics that we approach in the class. And first is that we have to recognize that there are so many actors in this field. So I have a picture here of the kind of medicine logo. Is the Medical Society and the American Medical Association have played major roles at the federal and state level over time when it comes to healthcare reform. But certainly they have not been the only players. There are various actors, whether it's advocacy groups, disease-oriented groups, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, who play a major role, and they have sometimes unequal power. They come to the table with different agendas, but also with different abilities to carry those out. And I think we've seen, without bias, I think we can say that the pharmaceutical industry has had impacts when it's come to issues that affect their outcomes. And that's just an example. So evidence, I have under here who's science. I never would have put that before. I never in a million years would have thought that we would be debating science and data. And I actually remember, I don't know if Christina, Marissa, or Jeff on this call will remember, but we had one call while we were on remote during last session where I said something about, well, it depends on if you believe science. And they all laughed because, in fact, how absurd is that? Science, data, and evidence are what they are. But we know right now that that's being disputed. We know right now that facts are being portrayed differently by different folks, usually based on their ideology or their perspective. So we try in our class to come to agreement on what is the evidence, or where can you find the evidence, or in your own backgrounds, how you can determine what in fact is science and science-based, what is evidence-based, and when you should doubt what is being proposed. Again, I never would have said that before, but now. And ideology is huge. It's huge. And we talk about that right from the first day of the class. It sets not only our political parties apart, not only our red versus blue, but we talk a lot about the perspectives you all bring to the table and how your ideology impacts how you describe cost, how you view quality, and access, and what your perspectives are and your priorities are relative to access. And then incrementalism. Our policies build on one another. They're iterative. They're not always a straight line. Oh my goodness, no. They're sometimes two steps forward, three steps back. However, implementation leads us to different outcomes, and then incrementally we build on those or we retrace those. And so those are just a few of the considerations for where healthcare policy comes from and how it proceeds. Again, any questions? I know I talk fast. That's a Rhode Island thing. And then the next slide, please. So I want to just encourage you, whether you're going to come to the program or not, if you have any questions, you have anything you want to discuss, please feel free to reach out. This is my email address at Brown. We love to talk to people and help in any way we can. So feel free to stay in touch. But again, I'd love to take questions if anyone has them.
Great. Thank you so much, Marie. That really gives that 60,000-foot view of where we start in the healthcare policy discussion. So thank you so much for that. All right. I want to introduce the students who are joining us today. These are current students. They're in that last semester of the program, and they'll be graduating at commencement this May. We have Christina Asaf Soliman. She is an endocrine thought leader and liaison for the New England region at Madrigal Pharmaceuticals, so someone from the pharma industry. We have Jeff Patterson, who's a senior vice president, and I'm not sure what the D stands for, but he's the chief information
Digital.
officer at the Henry Ford Health System. He can clear that up for us. And I have Marissa Gaspara is also joining us, and she is a fourth year medical student who has just matched in her residency program of choice. So we're excited for Marissa and so glad you could join us today. And these folks are all finishing the program. So I'm going to stop sharing because I would like for our guests to ask questions of the students. So please fill up that Q&A section of your Zoom link, and Emma is going to help us coordinate the Q&A that we find. So on your menu bar in the Q&A section, there's a Q&A button. You can enter your questions there. One thing that we could start with while people are thinking about what they'd like to ask you is why did you choose the MHL program? There are lots of options out there for this type of degree. What made this program stand out and make you want to join it? So I'm going to have Christina start.
Thank you so much for having me. What an exciting opportunity this has been. I'm elated to hear all of you guys' stories and journey. So transparently, Brown wasn't even on my radar, and I was looking at some more local schools. I had connected with Sandy, and we went through the journey of going through the program and what it entailed. And quite frankly, just knowing all the cohort mix and the alum that had passed through Brown previously just made a resounding yes to Brown University. And it's been such an exceptional journey where I've met the most incredible people. But truthfully, this has been so unexpected, but in the best way possible.
Great. Jeff.
Yeah, similar to Christina, I actually am an anti-student. I have a master's degree. I'm in the job that I want to have, but I feel like I could continue to grow. And I remember being in your seats a year ago, having the same thought process. What am I doing? Where do I want to go? But I took the program actually to continue to learn and expand my, I think my influence, my experience, and just not sit tight for the rest of my career. And two things I'll say that have pleasantly surprised me. First of all, I have met the most exceptional people, both faculty at Brown, supportive staff at Brown, and then my cohort is just literally amazing people. And I'm blessed to be here with them. The second thing though is as much as I thought I was doing well in my career, every day I would come back from a residential session and I would learn something and put it in. And just sort of ironically, we had an assignment last week which summarized the first four modules of a leadership class and what are you doing in your day to day. And I had to stop because the word limit was limiting what I think I've learned, which I didn't realize I had that much to go. So it's really been a great experience. I would 100 times over say that I would do this again, and it's just been it'll be something that changed my life, I think.
Awesome. And Marissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa. Thank you for having me today. So, I met Sandy at a medical conference, and once she started talking to me about the program, because at the time I was a medical student, I loved everything that it stood for. So, for me, being a medical student, I was someone that just focused mainly like on patient interaction and just the books and the science of medicine. But there were so many things in this program that would take it one step further. For instance, law, economics, finance, things that I don't learn in medical school at the time, now that I'm finished, but then also the CCP, the Critical Challenge Project. That really stood out to me. And it just pushed me one step further. And I'm really into community outreach. And this program gave me the opportunity to do that. And just also the faculty, it doesn't matter if you need help with something or if you need advice, the faculty is just amazing. And going for the residential sessions, I'm actually upset that the 3 weeks are over because they were just the best experiences ever.
Yeah.
The food is amazing. You're definitely going to eat. Everyone is so sweet. Even just everyone in your class, it just feels like a family. It's like you're doing school, you're learning, but you're also just in such a great environment around amazing people, amazing faculty. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend this program. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Emma, have we gotten any questions in the chat yet? Or Q&A, sorry.
Yes. So our first question, what returns are you seeing in your career while completing this program?
So Jeff, you want to start? Because you talked a little bit about being the continual learner and not sure what you were going to take away, but you've expressed some things that you were able to take away.
Yeah, I think as we grow in our career, and as Marissa was saying, we're all at different levels. I mean, here she's on the beginning of her long career as a physician. And by the way, congrats for matching. I hadn't heard that. But the other people are at the end of career. We have one gentleman who is God, he's been the CEO of startups. He was a military officer. I learned a lot from people, but it was based, I think, on the topics. I learning health law was something I didn't have a lot of access to. But I think the biggest takeaway I have is the approach people would take. And we do, when you're at your residence, you have individual classes and you have lectures, but there's breakouts where you take a topic and you kind of brainstorm as a group. And it's everything from putting together a Mr. Potato Head to writing math problems on the board. And what you would see is I'm the kind of person that like runs to the front of the board and starts trying to take over. And there's another gentleman in our class, Niles, and I saw him one time just sitting back as the rest of the class is just going crazy. And I walked up to him after and said, "So what were you doing there? You probably have to get out of your seat to get this done." And he said, "I just wanted to observe what everybody was doing because you could see a trend of people moving." And that example makes me kind of reflect on there are different approaches to addressing every issue. And when you've been doing something for a long time, or if you're just beginning it, you only know the approach that you have. So the formal classwork is very impressive and very detailed, but the informal learning from people and watching approaches, I was able to take a lot of that back to work immediately, and it was amazing at how much it was beneficial when I didn't even realize I needed to do things differently. It really helped to shape, hopefully the rest of my career.
Mhm. Christina, I know you've had some a career change even while you were in the program. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really love what Jeff expressed. I think I'm in a different position in my career. Part of where I am currently as a thought leader liaison is transitioning from more of a group contributor to an individual contributor in the hopes of becoming a national leader or director. And so, like, at the time of my application for Brown, I had been in the pharmaceutical industry for so long, but I'm very much like Jeff, in that I'm a continuous learner. I feel like I'm always growing, always developing, I'm always hungry to learn more. And this was a great opportunity to flex those muscles to try to figure out where my next direction is. And transparently, because of the program, I have been leaning towards a strategic director role. And that's been really informing my decisions moving forward. But I also think it's very important for those who are almost at a cross in their career journeys to take this opportunity to do this year because it's such an eclectic program. You do get snippets of all these phenomenal aspects of what your career could potentially be, whether it's marketing or policy or finance. Transparently, after this program, I think I'm going to pursue an MBA. So, like, this is things that I think I never really had, kind of the wherewithal or even the even on my purview, to be quite frank, until I went through all these rigorous programs and got a really good depth and breadth of each specific category that Sandy had gone through. But now, this is I was crazily taking this program at the same time as getting promoted into this senior role as an endocrine thought leader. And man, guys, I really didn't think I could do it, but you have the support of incredible staff, incredible cohort that transparently becomes your family. So this is, if you are at the cusp of your career, or as Jeff is saying, fully established and you want to take it to the next level, this for sure is the best program out there. And it's a year. So
You can do it for a year.
yes, exactly. You can do it for a year.
Sure.
Excellent. And Marissa, you're in a different place, and I'm curious to hear how you think the program has helped shaped where you want to go in your career, because you've made some choices this year.
Exactly. So I always wanted to, when I first started the program, I was living in Queens. That was where I was doing my medical school rotations. And then I just finished my rotations and I'm in the process of moving back home. So right now I'm in upstate New York, a very underserved community. And now that I just came back, I am going to be more hands-on with my critical challenge project because, I always wanted to give back to the community, but I didn't know what that really would entail. Obviously, I'd want to work in underserved communities, but I wanted to take it one step further. So my critical challenge project deals with taking community college students, transferring them to a four-year institution, and then eventually to medical school. So doing this program gave me all the tools, whether it was in finance, coming up with plans, knowing who your stakeholders should be, all the different aspects that come into helping the community even more. And it's so great going back to SUNY Broome. I've been here back for like a month, going back to SUNY Broome and just feeling like I know way more and know the right questions to ask. Obviously, I can always keep learning, but this program really set me on the path to give me the tools to know what I want to do, how I want to give back, what it entails, what things I need to plan out. And I just feel like that just really helped make me a better physician. And every day I'm learning, but I couldn't have done it without Brown and with Sandy as well and all the faculty and my cohort. So yes.
Great. Thank you all. Appreciate your perspectives. Emma, do we have other questions?
Yes, that actually leads into our next question. How do you see the CCP project playing out in your career now that you're almost finished?
Yeah,
Marissa, you want to like go on with that since you
Yes,
were
yes.
talking about it?
So I feel like, this is something that I don't have obviously the finances. And I was talking about this with the faculty at SUNY Broome, but I just feel like as I become more of a physician and, I just feel like this really put me in a position to give me the tools just to really apply my CCP. Although the program unfortunately ends in May, you think a year, oh, it seems fast, but it seems slow, but then it goes by so fast. I feel like Brown really gave me, the tools to take it after May, I still want to continue doing my critical challenge project. And I think that's what's super important. I feel like when you pick your critical challenge project, have it be something that you really are passionate about, because how awesome is it going to be that because of this program, I'm working now with the board at SUNY Broome at my community college, and have being from Brown and now going back, it's all incorporated, and I could just take this one step further. So even though the program unfortunately ends in May, it's Brown will always be a part of me and will be giving back to my community. So definitely my advice is pick something you're very passionate about, because then you can really put your heart into it and it just is so rewarding.
Christina, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, this is the CCP was phenomenal. It was probably the most challenging thing because, as Sandy said, it was like almost like boiling the oceans. Because as you guys will see when you do get into the program, there is so much to fix in healthcare, and there's so many aspects in which you can pick to fix healthcare. For me specifically, I was very interested in inequality in healthcare and how to accelerate in rare diseases, and specifically also where I'm currently focusing on is in MASH, MASLD, metabolic steatohepatitis, which is a new up and coming disease state. And my CCP is really focused on acceleration within IDNs, which are hospital systems. So through that project, I realized how discordant and how fragmented, even within an individual institution, lends itself to be, and how we as leaders can really provide that gap. I think there is so much you can do with your CCP, but I 100% agree with Marissa. Pick the thing that you're very passionate about so that it leaps you into this other arena that you can really make change. And just like Marissa, this is going to be an ongoing process, even after you graduate, because it is just a year. But you can take this in so many different ways, whether it's an app. We've discovered an NIT locator, which is basically a resource or an AI capability to actually find, models to scan your liver to get a quicker diagnosis. And that was so much fun because you can bring these ideas up to your leadership and they could be part of your process and the CCP at the same time. So you're making real world change. I know one of the things that you guys talked about was like turning things from insights into action. This is it. This is your CCP. It's not just a piece of paper that you're going to house on a shelf somewhere. This is something you're going to be doing every day in real world in real time.
Excellent. And Jeff, I think you've got an excellent example of advancing the CCP in your own organization.
Yeah, it's been a great journey. So my CCP is about AI really, and I'm the Chief Digital and Information Officer for Henry Ford Health. I'm responsible for ethical, appropriate, and cost-effective deployment of AI. It was such a rush in the initial days, as ChatGPT emerged. So I had a concept a year ago right now where I wanted to bring together a central hub, and I was calling it a center of excellence. Um, if you had an idea, you could curate it and either bring it to fruition or put it to bed because it wouldn't work. So as the first two terms progressed, I went from a center of excellence to a business plan to, in the middle of my second semester, we had it's now called the Digital Enablement Hub at Henry Ford Health. I got to present it to the board, got board approval, and then in December, I actually got to deploy it to our leadership, which is about 2,500 directors and above across our health system. So my CCP is actually in place and live right now. But what's been interesting is through the course of the program, I had something, but it was really, really rough. And I will never forget part of the CCP is what they call the Shark Tank. And you have to spend 2 minutes explaining your idea. And I went through quite frankly, more arrogant than I should have. I thought, I got this. It's live. How could I be wrong? And spent my 2 minutes talking about something that in my head made complete sense. And a loving program director who won't be named but is on the call started the response with, "That sounds amazing. I have no idea what you're selling." And I thought, I don't have a good pitch. I don't have a good vision, or I'm not sharing it well. And that's one of those examples of where I had to kind of look within to think, am I explaining it to myself? Or am I trying to help, 2,000 people understand something? So it actually in September helped my board pitch and then also in the leadership pitch. The other nice thing is as the cohort goes on, you'll see two just exceptional women on the call. you'll be with 40 or 50 people because you have two cohorts together. One of the gentlemen in our cohort is a senior director at Microsoft who works on AI and analytics for them. And he actually and I now have been doing work together in the real world. And he actually got to be in the board meeting at the pitch because they came in and gave a Microsoft perspective on where things were going. So it was the ultimate just amazing day because school and work came together. But the CCP was really what we talked about. So we are continuing to roll it out. We are seeing significant benefit already, and a lot of the work that Brown has helped me to bring to fruition is going to generate probably $1 billion in savings for our organization in the next 5 years because we're not thinking, how do you take AI to make little incremental changes? We're really thinking agents first. And how does that augment a workforce that's already impossible to backfill? So when they speak of real world change that was just articulated, it hits so many different areas that has just been great for us, I think, to go through.
It's so great to hear all these stories and how you're using it to make real world change. I think that's from my perspective the most satisfying part of being involved with this program. So, Emma, other topics that people want to know about?
Yeah, it looks like we have two more questions in the queue here. So a last call for any of our guests on the call to submit their questions to the Q&A. I'll start here with outside of leadership and management skills, what are the most valuable applied skills that you are acquiring from this program?
Applied skills. Who would like to go first?
I could go.
Yeah.
I feel like just listen is something that I really enjoyed because this is something you you don't realize people's backstories. You don't realize, what people have gone through or what their careers entail. And just giving people a chance, even when we do so many group discussions, whether it's online or it's in person, and you just hear so many people's backstories and perspectives. And it just taught me that it's so important just to listen. And you don't know everything. And everybody has something to contribute. And I just feel like it made me just more open to taking constructive criticism, learning from other people in different departments. And I feel like it's just a great experience just to really learn and just open your knowledge. So it's very important. I took away from this, just listen and give everyone a chance because you never know what you'll learn. And I've learned so much from everybody.
Excellent. Christina, you want to go next?
Yeah, I tend to echo what Marissa said. I think there's layers of education, right? You have the books and the faculty and the staff that has this extraordinary amount of knowledge and experience that they're bringing to the table and to the dialogue and discussions. But there is this other component where you have this very diverse, as Jeff had said, we have people from Microsoft, we have people that are newly directors of CIOs and Microsoft. And so you have this very unique blend of people that come together with very unique perspectives, very unique experiences, and learning from them has been probably the greatest takeaway. I struggle with being a good listener. It's one of the things that I'm learning as I'm going through this process, but I will tell you, learning from each other through these dialogues. And quite frankly, some of them are so opposing in discussions. And you could be on one side of the fence with an opinion politically, and someone could be completely on the other. But there's so much respect in the cohort where you glean so much insight based on their experiences, whether it's professionally or personally. So yes, you will learn so much. And I think that's quite frankly, one of the greatest takeaways. I mean, these are lifelong relationships I'm going to have forever. So yeah.
Excellent. Jeff, anything to add?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with my classmates. The only other thing I would add is I was 20 years after my what I thought to be final degree. And what I realize is you need to be a work in process. And in addition to everything that's been said, there will be venues that open up that quite frankly I never would have even looked at and have helped round me out. So, I think it sort of jump started a hunger for education or knowledge. So I've even changed how I spend my free time, because as much as there isn't a lot of it in the program, there is time where you learn and you find venues where God, I want to read more about that. So it's really kind of triggered something. And I think that's going to be a benefit too for a long time.
Awesome. Those are really great perspectives. All right, Emma, last question.
Yes. Um, what does it mean to be in a hybrid program, having some classes in person, but mostly online?
I can go
I could
first.
have.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, you can go, Christina. You go.
so I'm a single mother with 3 kids, and I've been a single mother for a very long time. I also have an extraordinarily demanding job. I travel. I'm barely even home. Actually, just last week, I'm like, what hotel am I in, and what state? So I think the great benefit of having a hybrid program is this capability to be very amiable and flexible. Some of the other programs I was looking in within the Ivy League spectrum really limited that. And I think with this program, not only you're getting the rigor and education of Ivy, you have the flexibility between being, a parent or, a significant other to someone, plus a very demanding job, which quite frankly, the people that are in this program are very high, profile executives in some capacity, or medical students, or really higher up in their careers. So I think this is such an amazing opportunity to still continue to grow and develop, all while still, being committed to your personal and professional lives as well.
Rosa, you have anything to add on the balance between of choosing a hybrid versus a fully online program?
Yes. So I feel like the hybrid, sorry, is my thing lagging because I just had to go get my charger?
No, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe if I turn my camera off. So I feel like the hybrid concept was just amazing. I loved the fact that you get to be in person and feel like a real student and meet the faculty, speak with everyone, meet your classmates. But I also
You're
want to
fine.
say,
Oops.
okay, am I glitching?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess what I would say is, as Christina said, everybody has a different place in their life, whether it be family, career, what have you. The faculty really want you to succeed. So I do a lot of homework at 4 and 5 in the morning because I get up early, but I sleeping by 10, and some people do late homework, and that's okay. It's very flexible in that context. If you can't make an office hours, they always record them, so you never lose things there. But the one thing I would say about this program that I loved was hybrid in some ways can be a little bit misleading. When you're on site, you are with this group 10 hours a day, 7 days in a row, and you develop that kindred spirit with your classmates that you lose in a primarily online class. So you start the semester together, you get that camaraderie, and then when you go and you take the rest of the term hybrid, you still feel like you're part of a group that you wouldn't get in an online program. And I think that's actually what I love most about the program, is just that, because we're all looking out to help each other, and you lose that in some other areas and other contexts.
Sorry, is it
Awesome.
better now? Yeah, going off of that, you think, oh, well, it's like an online degree, or you're just going to go for a little bit. When you are on the residential session, it's not a joke. I mean, you're there Sunday through Saturday, like 8 to 6, class back to back to back. So you could think of it almost as like, maybe when you were an undergrad and you go to a class an hour on Tuesdays and an hour on Thursdays. This is like compact all. It's really like they pack in a lot in that session, which is great because it gives you the foundation for the class for the rest of the semester. But I definitely want you to know that when it's not like a joke, like you're there and you're really learning and you're really in class, and you could really think of it as like going for a month or a semester all packed in a week, because you're in that class for what was it, like 8 hours, 10 hours a day?
70 hours over 7 days.
Yes. So you could think of it as like, when you used to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 50 minutes, it's like all compact in one time, which is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And it really sets you on the path to the rest of the semester. And that just shows you again how much the faculty genuinely cares, because they build that relationship with you before. And then once you leave, you don't feel so awkward to reach out to a professor or your classmates, because you built that connection. You learned what the class is going to entail. And at a perfect time, because it puts you on the path for the rest of the semester. So I love the hybrid. It's amazing.
I just want to add one thing to what Marissa said, because although the days are long, it is so engaging. And they do so many hands-on projects. And like I said, you really do get in deep, deep discussions. The time flies, the weeks go by. And then at the end, you have this incredible cohort of group of people that you just hang out with, do homework with, laugh with, have experiences with. It's just such an extraordinary experience. You can't really, you have to just experience it to know what it is, really.
Yeah.
And just the
Excellent.
concept is just amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. You go, like, for instance, on our last day, I think it was our last day. Was it Friday or
The
Saturday? We
basketball
went to the
game?
we went to the basketball game, Brown basketball. Like, you
Oh,
still
yeah.
do things that you feel like a student. And then we were walking around like college town. Sorry, my mom's calling. We were walking around like the college town and getting food with people. So like you still get the Brown experience. And
Yeah.
like there was a scavenger hunt. You still feel like a Brown student when you're there. And the facility is amazing. Sorry, the facility is amazing. It's just such a beautiful campus. It's just amazing. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you all so much. I think that really helps folks understand what the student experience is like and how it's helped you and shaped you over the course of a really quick year that goes by so quickly. I want to say thank you to all of you for joining today. And also really looking forward to seeing you in person in May for commencement activities. So very excited to have you join us again for one last party, one last festivity as we officially award your degrees. So looking very much forward to seeing you very soon. And for those of you who are participating today, we hope this has given you a sense of what the program is like and the types of curriculum, the experience, as well as that engagement with faculty. So please continue to engage with us and raise your questions about how the program works and how we can be of assistance to you in your educational journey. So thanks again so much for joining today, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.